This might be triggering for some of you, but it needs to be talked about because I don't see many people talking about this in this space. And it is this theme of, body image issues, and how anorexia, bulimia, over exercising, all of these, I don't even want to call them disorders because I do feel like there are patterns of protection or patterns of coping that we've learned early on, but how they're so correlated and connected to trauma and, this experience of dysregulation. And so I'm going to start by sharing a little bit about my own journey with these things, these experiences. My dysregulation or experience started really, really young, and had been through some trauma. We had some tragic loss in the family. I'd had multiple surgeries in my life for just random things, a lot of hospital visits. Nobody's faults. I grew up in a very, very loving home, but I still ended up, feeling the need to find some control and, feeling and believing that I wasn't enough, constantly comparing myself to other people and what they looked like. And I felt that if I could somehow control my weight or the way that I looked, then I would be loved by others and not by my family. I know they loved me unconditionally, but it was from others. I was bullied a lot as a child as well. So, and as a kid through my teen years. And that's when I developed an eating disorder. It only took one person telling me that I was fat to start, close to a decade of eating disorders. And so I went through, anorexia, bulimia, and intense exercising to the point where I exercised 7 days a week for hours a day. I was so thin. I had 6% body fat, and I didn't have a period. I was just way too thin, and I was experiencing stuff back then. Thankfully I was able to work through that in a different way than nervous system regulation. But the reason I'm bringing this up is that it is very much tied into this community or into this experience of chronic illness and healing and what I found for myself. So I was really, really thin. Once I started to recover from the body image issues, a lot of it, I give credit to my husband because he started to just show me who I was and who he loved me, why he loved me. And it wasn't because I was really, really thin or really skinny or had 0% body fat. It was for me, and he really encouraged me and taught me to love food and to nourish my body and to love myself. And so that was, prior to my really big perfect storm that came in 2009 when all the cascade of chronic illnesses started. Let me get back to the point is, so I had a history with body image issues and a really intense history with, bulimia and anorexia. And so when I became ill and was unable to eat the things that I wanted to eat, some of these things started coming back up, some of these patterns. And what's interesting is that as I started to heal, and you might relate to this, but as I started to get to a place where I felt healthier and I was able to eat all the things and I was living my life again, and my body started to absorb nutrients again, and I started to gain weight, and it was hard. Not because I wasn't grateful for the healing, but because some of those themes and patterns came up again, right? That younger part of me was saying, oh no, if we're not, this weight or have this amount of whatever it is, like definition in our bodies, then we're not enough. And so I had to work with that. And I actually did the work. I started to tune into that younger part and understand where this was coming from. And I started to, use the resources that I had, which was some trauma resolution sources. I worked with somatic therapists. I started to really just work on cultivating safety and love for my body, like safety within and love for. And some of those patterns started to fall away. And I'm sharing this because what I see in a lot of the people that I'm working with is that when they get to a good place and they're starting to really feel better, we start to put on some weight. Like it can happen. And maybe it's not for everyone. Maybe some people have the opposite where they start to lose weight that, was attached to that illness. But it starts to feel uncomfortable and things are going to surface and, themes are going to surface and beliefs are going to surface and these old patterns are going to come up. And I want to remind you that they're surfacing to heal and that it's completely normal. And I don't want you to have shame or judge yourself because our bodies, we're used to them being one way for a long time. And when they start to change, it can feel uncomfortable. And change is uncomfortable. And that's okay, but I encourage you to just recognize why the changes are happening and start to reframe them as positive changes. I started to recognize like, wow, my body is actually holding on to the nutrients from my food. That's why I'm starting to gain weight. Or, my pants were, obviously I had changed sizes in clothes. And I was like, wow, my clothes are not fitting because I'm getting stronger. I'm growing and I'm transforming. I'm not meant to fit in these same clothes that I wore for all those years when I was sick in bed. And my husband was just such an amazing and is a supporter. And he would always remind me like, I love that your body is changing and growing as you grow. And he would just keep reminding like, this is a good sign. This is a good sign. And I started to see it like that. And I started to embrace, changes in my legs and in my stomach and, in my waist and all of that. And, I want to let you know that your body, as you come into regulation, will find a happy medium. It will find, your balanced weight, the way that your body best functions. And it might not look exactly like it did prior to chronic illness, and that's okay. When you come to a space where you are firm in your regulation and you're feeling really well, then you can start to work with that. And you can start to tone and you can start to, do things to help you feel a little stronger and more confident if you choose to. And that's kind of the phase that I'm in right now, is just working with my body instead of forcing anything. I'm not working out 7 days a week. I'm, not doing anything strenuous, but I'm starting to see muscle come back. I'm starting to see growth in the muscles on my legs, and it makes me feel really, really proud and just, strong and empowered. But it took a while to get here. And on the way here, like on this journey, I had those things pop up. And so I'm sharing this because you might be at a place where you're seeing changes and in your healing and you're on your way and you're seeing changes in your body, and they can be a little scary. But I want to remind you that the change is a good sign, and that I want you to just focus on supporting it and finding that comfort and safety within until you come to this place where you're grateful for it and where you feel so grounded in where you're at, where you can start to, whether you're exercising or doing specific, weights or whatever it is to achieve this experience of feeling stronger and healthier. That's up to you. But I just wanted to share this because I feel like it's something that not many of us talk about on here. And if this resonated, or if you have an experience to share, I would be so grateful if you commented below. And I hope this helped.